As far as my educational experience is concerned, or exposure is concerned, I have been in this K-12 education field for the last 25 years, working in different positions as teacher, vice principal, curriculum designer, teacher trainer, leadership mentor, secretary and president of various educational associations, and again I had been a columnist, a researcher on academic related aspects. I have been traveling all across the country, Middle East and Europe, and my travel was especially focused on schools, how schools operate in different environments, what are the advantages and disadvantages, how can we adopt good things from different countries to our system and modernize our educational system was my core objective. Based on my researches and also my learnings through travel, I have helped or I am helping many organizations in the country to flourish in the educational sector. Currently, I am spearheading Center for Educational Initiatives and Research Global Trust located at Toronto and helping many schools to flourish by using flipped learning in this pandemic situation. And as you know, we are all forced into blended or flipped learning or virtual learning. Many schools are confused how to organize this virtual schooling system or virtual learning system, how to assess the children, how to teach the children, or how to facilitate learning. In all these aspects, we guide schools across the country at present. And it's wonderful to see that schools have or teachers have picked up very fast and helping children to learn even during this pandemic situation. And I am very happy to see that some of the organizations and also youngsters are coming up with new technologies, new platforms to help schools and learners to learn better. I hope the researchers and the platforms that new edupreneurs are creating will help the country overcome the challenges of the 21st century in teaching and learning. We were pushed into a new environment when the pandemic lockdown started. Even though we used certain online platforms to deliver home assignments or some study materials, etc., our use of online platforms on a large scale was limited before the pandemic lockdown. And when the pandemic lockdown started, it was really a challenge how to adapt. But gradually we got into the online platform and we started training our teachers how to use online platform, how to work with the children, how to engage them in learning, even if they are at home. And I can say that our teachers picked up very fast. But in the initial stages, we were using some basic online platforms or general corporate platforms which were used for or which are used for online conferencing like Zoom, Google Meet, etc. And we can't say that these platforms are actually meant for schools. Still, we used it for teaching the children. And assessment was a big challenge. And to collect feedback and give feedback too was very difficult. Still, somehow, by integrating different platforms, we managed it. That means along with the Zoom, WebEx, or Google Meet, we used Google Classroom, or WhatsApp, or Telegram, or SurveyMonkey, or Google Sheet, etc. to collect feedback and also to give feedback. And again, assessment also was done by using SurveyMonkey or Google survey forms, etc. All these had its own limitations too. So we were not that much satisfied in the beginning, but later on, platforms which integrate all these things, that means video conferencing facility or online teaching facility, assessment, sharing documents, all such through a single platform started emerging. And we also started training our teachers in those things and started using that. The result was totally different and it was amazing. Students and also teachers enjoyed such type of integrated platforms. And even today, we use certain integrated platforms. But even for these integrated platforms, certain limitations are there. Sometimes we are not able to deliver co-scholastic activities through that. And at present, certain virtual schools platforms are coming up. Hope these platforms will help us too. Use of multiple platforms while running online classes in the schools. It's a real confusing one. Because what happens, teachers take online classes on Zoom or WebEx or something like that. And after that, when they want to share something, the chat box won't be sufficient sometimes. Then they have to depend upon some other platform, Google Classroom, or they have to depend on WhatsApp or email or something like that. And finally, to train the teachers and train the students. Teachers we have to train to share ideas and information with the students. And at the same time, students should be trained to use all these platforms to make use what teachers are sharing. It's very difficult and very confusing. Not only very difficult and confusing, it unnecessarily take our time, wastage of energy, time, money, etc. So I think it's always better to go for a platform which is integrated, in which teachers can teach, share whatever documents or whatever learning materials they wanted, conduct assessment, collect feedback, give feedback, communicate with the parents, assess and share their progress, make the children take part in activities related to academics and also co-scholastic. If such an assessor platform is available, that will be always good. To run a school or to run virtual learning through or by using multiple platforms is very difficult. I found it very confusing sometimes. So I always request my schools and also school leaders and teachers to use some platform which is integrated with all the facilities. And now such platforms are available. Even some companies are coming up with virtual schooling system. So schools can also adopt such type of virtual schooling platforms and they can use it for flipped learning. There is nothing wrong. And the coming days are of that. Yeah, when we use multiple platforms, what happens sometimes, it becomes very difficult for us to understand the teaching learning gap because the data is scattered onto different platforms. To pull it together, analyze and reach to a conclusion will be very difficult. And for teachers, they have to use multiple platform means it takes a lot of time and their energy. So it's not that much easy or recommendable. And for students too, there may be a network problem and all. They have also to access different platforms, whether it is Zoom or WhatsApp or Google Classroom or different things they have to access at different times for learning different things. And ultimately it confuses the student and teacher. And it is very difficult for the parents to look into or supervise the children because parents' role is very important during these pandemic days or virtual learning days. So for parents also it's very difficult. Parents also can't understand what is happening, in which platform what is shared. They are not getting a consolidated report of the child's learning. But when it is a clubbed platform, a combined platform, or we can say when it is an integrated platform, all integrated platform, what happens? It is very easy for the teacher, for the student, for the parent, for a school leader, for everyone to understand what is happening in the class. And in the case of parents, they may be working from home or they may have to go to their office. They get very little time to look into the child's progress or what is happening in the virtual class. They may get very little time. They won't be having time to go into different platforms and all. So I think it's very difficult when we use multiple platforms. So if we can go for an all integrated platform, that is the best, because that will settle all these issues of teaching, learning, assessment, feedback, recording, everything. According to me, an all integrated platform, comprehensive platform, which is virtual, that will be ideal. And for a country like India also, that is very essential in the coming days. Maybe in the beginning we can introduce such things only in urban areas, but gradually we can spread across rural areas too. And when 5G comes, I think there won't be any issue of connectivity and other things. Things will become smoother and faster. And if we can use an all integrated platform for all the activities related to a school, teaching, learning, assessment, fee collection, feedback, anything, that will be ideal. And I think the future of education in India rests with such type of a platform. Here I am not speaking against brick and mortar school. Such schools are needed. Such schools can use these type of platforms also to improve their service delivery. That's what I want. Because teachers, we cannot completely avoid whether it is online or offline. So I am always in favor of modern technology and also an all-inclusive platform that can be used by brick and mortar schools and also virtual schools, because that will help us achieve the objectives mentioned in the new educational policy of 2020. So I hope we as school leaders, teachers, parents, policy makers have to change our mindset, and we should accept or we should adapt to use modern technology wherever possible, because it eases our work. So I hope everyone will ponder over these points and adapt and adopt to use integrated platforms for teaching and learning. Thank you.